Where to start? I have been introduced, so let's jump to the topic. Blockchain. There is a lot of hype all around the world. So, and you mean blockchain is Bitcoin, but that's not true. Blockchain is the underlying technology. This is the truth. So we have to really articulate better what's really blockchain and what's the power of blockchain. So before I jump to the topic how blockchain can actually help and can advance the food and beverage industry, so let me just give you a short introduction. It's a short video how we actually drive the automotive industry a little bit ahead thanks to the blockchain.
In 2017, over 79 million cars were sold. In that same year, the top 10 car manufacturers worldwide accounted revenues worth $1.6 trillion. The industry itself is estimated to have a 2% year-by-year increase. Today, 79% of large companies state that the lack of supply chain process visibility is their top concern. Because of today's technology, the participants within the supply chain have a very limited visibility. Additionally, the same applies to lower tiers which perform in less mature operating models due to process inefficiencies. By implementing the Sophia TX blockchain, which connects to enterprise-grade systems such as SAP, we're able to deliver full trust and transparency to all supply chain participants in the automotive industry. This results to more efficient collaboration and cost savings for all parties. Today, Sophia TX is integrated with the leading platforms such as SAP S/4HANA, SAP Business One, Microsoft Office, and for small players, we've built a standalone Sophia TX web app.
Okay, so that was just a teaser. This is what blockchain can. Today, we are living in a technology when one technology, such as Oracle, for instance, or SAP, talks Spanish, the other technology talks Mandarin. So it's basically different data models, and you have to connect. You have to allow the businesses to actually gather the data from one world to and interpret it into another world. So from our perspective, what we are talking here is blockchain is one of the biggest opportunities today. There might be other buzzwords like big data, IoT, cloud. Cloud is just another somebody else's computer. But what we are talking here is what's the opportunity here? We have got 10% of the global GDP is gonna be on blockchain. Stored? I don't know. Maybe enabled by blockchain, but there is definitely a chance for blockchain to grow. In terms of companies, you may remember the dot-com bubble. 50% of the S&P companies will be exchanged or removed from a S&P 500 index. This is happening. The revolution is coming. And the revolution was happening also with the dot-com bubble. Today, 76% of the revenue transaction touches SAP systems. You might be asking where I lead with these figures. Today, blockchain has actually the potential to disrupt the industries. Similar like to dot-com bubble 20 years ago. Who would thought that companies such as Amazon, Google will grow to the giant? So with blockchain, there is another era coming. It's a disruptive element for the economy. Of course, it has to be brought to the business. Right now, business exploring. So what has to be done in terms of blockchain to get adopted better by the businesses? First of all, it has to be understood, but it doesn't mean that you have to go deep and interpret the mathematics beyond or the algorithms, which is really digging into the blockchain. It has to be integrated with the enterprise system because you put a lot of investment into enterprise scaled system and you don't throw them out, that there will be not just a blockchain. Of course, it will have the possibility to adopt or extend those systems, but we have to also include the IoT, robotics, predictive analytics. All those, let's say, digital modern trends will have to actually work with blockchain. And this is where blockchain needs to be understood, that it's one of the layers in the digital world. And of course, it has to be productized. You don't go to a shop and buy just 2 bags of blockchain. Doesn't work for you. There has to be application. There has to be either you want to solve a problem, a business problem, or whether it's cutting the cost, extending your visibility of the data, and then having the predictive analytics to play with the data. So blockchain extends the boundaries or puts the boundaries much more beyond what we have today. So how does blockchain work? For those of you who just know that there is a Bitcoin or there is another cryptocurrencies, this is blockchain in essence. So there are transactions being generated, and they are actually assorted into so-called blocks. The transaction or the blocks are being generated every 3 seconds or every 5 seconds or every 10 minutes, depends on the blockchain. Then the block is being kind of decoupled and it's going to be distributed. So the data are flowing into the so-called shared ledger. So they are being distributed and they are being signed. So once it is signed, you are not able to move the data. So it's there, it's not temperable. So this is how you secure the data. So there is no party which can actually change or modify the data. You can always add new data, and this is how blockchain in essence works. When it comes to blockchain or Sophia, what we have developed, we call it a blockchain platform for new digital age. But what does it mean? We have to basically, or we created an enterprise-grade blockchain. But what is enterprise-grade blockchain? I will give you a guidance what's actually the features the business require, because the people behind Sophia are basically enterprise people. They're coming from consulting, from tech companies, so they know what's actually essential and what's really required for the companies actually to get blockchain adopted. So there is an enterprise blockchain, which is the layer beyond. Then we have got the development tools, so how to connect to the blockchain, because if you have a standalone enterprise application, such as SAP, Microsoft, or any other small ERP system, or even a POS device in your store, it has to have the ability to connect to blockchain. Blockchain, you can imagine, it's kind of an postal service. You have got small envelope, bigger envelope, small packages, bigger packages, and you put your data there. Of course, it's not the data storage. It doesn't work like that. It's a collaboration transaction layer. So, and then Sophia presents the marketplace where the application, the distributed application, will be sitting, similar to App Store. So, and there will be also the plugins to the enterprise system. So we want to actually connect the ecosystem of large corporation, small and mid-sized businesses, or even small startups, which are actually creating new business models or new technology, or presenting new kind of ventures, which are the new game changers. So when it comes to the protocol Sophia is using, it's a graphene. Graphene was made by MIT, so it's a license we have leveraged. And basically what we have actually think about, there was literally no blockchain 2 years ago, which was really business capable or enterprise grade. If I'm talking about enterprise compliancy, how the data are manipulated, whether they are secured, whether you can apply the GDPR principles. All of those things you have to think about. Is it fully service? If I'm a company and my software does get corrupted or does have any problems and I have to fix it, who do I call in a distributed world of blockchain? So you have to have a party which you call or which you can blame if the application isn't working. And of course, it has to be fast and secure. Imagine today, Bitcoin, 3 transactions per block. A block takes 10 minutes. Business cannot operate with this speed, so it has to be fast. So we are making like 2,000 transactions a second. Of course, with decentralized technology, it's a completely different level, but it's 177 million transactions a day, which is for a public blockchain quite enough. Of course, there will be models where companies will adopt public blockchain because it has a wide range of adoption. But there will be also models where private blockchain will be built for certain reasons. When it comes to F&B specifically, what are the possibilities of blockchain? Today, loyalty, customer engagement. These are the typical words, how you attract the customers. Think of air miles, hotel points. What is token? Token is basically the same. From loyalty perspective, you see that there is really a huge market, 360 billions. That's the loyalty programs all around the world. Sometimes loyalty programs can break or basically lift up the company to completely different level of engagement with the customers if you know how to work with the data. Of course, what are the limitations of today's program? One of them is the liquidity. If I have air miles, how can I switch them to hotel points? It's not easy. You get even nice commissions if you do that, right? So you're losing some points. So in today's world, you see that the loyalty programs in travel, payments, or retailers, there is a huge number, 10,000 loyalty programs, and it keeps growing. So new loyalty programs are being generated. By how do they interact? Again, Spanish, Mandarin, English, there are different systems, different technologies being used for that. Blockchain and the application on top of blockchain integrated into POS or any other enterprise systems is basically made for that. Whether it will take some time, definitely. There needs to be players who wants to experiment with that. But today, the blockchain, the enterprise blockchain is here. It can be used. So what are the benefits? As I mentioned, different languages spoken, different silos. This is a frictionless system because you just circulate the token on blockchain, which is a kind of a native point. Cost reduction. You have to build the systems, right? You have to integrate them with your enterprise systems because what's the point? What's the mile? From an airline point of view or a hotel point of view, it's a liability from a financial perspective. So you definitely have to have the integration into the enterprise system, into the accounting. Real-time processing. Today, if you send a transaction on a high-speed blockchain, it takes seconds. If you want to exchange the miles to a hotel point, it takes a few weeks because there is an administration process beyond. So there will be new business opportunities. There will be even companies which might offer it as a service for other players on the market, retailers, hotels, airlines. So this is just one example how blockchain can actually serve the food and beverage industry. When it comes to another opportunity in this space, transparent revenue and fraud prevention in franchising. We know Subway, we know Starbucks, all the big chains, there are a lot of franchising going on. So imagine if you're using the point of sale terminal, which records the informations and basically about the sold products or even discounts provided. So in essence, you basically have the proof that these are the revenues you are shoving to your franchisor as a franchisee. So you can detect whether there are some products which are unlicensed in terms of the sales. So there is a lot of opportunity in this space, and it all can be integrated into the point of sale or any other backbone systems. Whether it increase the transparency? Definitely yes. Tomorrow there can be new business models or new collaboration models. Imagine that today you orchestrate, you manage your inventory. With blockchain, you might set up the levels of inventory of your products you need on a daily basis, and basically the inventory can be fully managed by your vendor. Because you have got the full transparency, you can monitor whether the response times, the resolution times, whether deliveries are on time. That's the way how blockchain will change the way how we think, how we operate in the business. So the benefits here for the franchisers, of course, reduction of the fraud. It's happening, whether we see that or we don't, but we can prevent that. Increase in revenues, because I just stopped the fraud happening. An elimination of unlicensed product sales, because I sell the product which I'm supposed to sell. So these are this is one of the possibilities we have with blockchain, but of course, it has to connect, it has to communicate with the systems we are operating today. Product originality, transparent sourcing. Another possibility how blockchain can bring benefits to the businesses. If I'm going to a shop and the shop provides me or offers me a product, how do I know it's an authentic product? How do I prove the provenance? I don't have a chance often. If I'm really a producer, I want to protect my market. Pharma industry is the best example here. 15% of pharmaceutical products are being falsified or counterfeited. That's 128 billion a year. 128. Food industry, of course, who does get the benefit from proving the originality or the authenticity of the product, or whether the product is fresh? If you are talking meat, comes from Argentina, how was it shipped? What were the conditions? What was the humidity? What was the temperature? All those factors which we should care about, we are not able to prove today. We have to trust the retailer, we have to trust the distributor, we have to trust the manufacturer. So from this perspective, we can talk about organic food, fair trade, homemade food. How do we know? In the shop, you don't have a chance to go with your iPhone and check whether, with the barcode, whether the food is original or authentic. How can the manufacturer protect that this market doesn't get infiltrated by counterfeit products? There are luxury wines, there are luxury cheese. In Switzerland, there is all on the table. You always see on the menu, there is always stated where the meat is coming from, which farm. Okay, that's a paper. I don't have any chance to prove that. I have to trust. That's today. Warehousing, the conditions. IoT can measure all alongside the way from the manufacturer through the distributor, through the warehouser, how the meat was stored, whether there was a minus temperature or it was plus. Because then, if I'm the retailer, I can check and basically tell the distributor that, well, it's defected. It was contaminated. So on the picture you see that these channels are basically possible. Of course, whether the game, this is one of the most complex use cases out there from blockchain perspective, because there are many parties which needs to actually see the benefit coming from this one. Either they are protecting their market, or the customer are protecting their health. Just from a pharma industry, if I go back, there are 100,000 reported deaths because of counterfeit drugs on a yearly basis, and this is just reported. That's the official statistics. If we go to developing countries, the statistics will be much more higher in terms of numbers. So the benefits, or basically how can we protect? Today we have got all the serial numbers, QR codes. We do have NFCs. We have got RFIDs. We do have even magnetic wires on some products. So this can be everything of those technology can be used and basically feed into the blockchain. So we have got the proof. Who has manufactured the product, when, where, what is the expiration date, and it's unique. How can be there another drug with the same serial number? How can be the car with the same serial number? How can be there a gentleman selling me the car which owns somebody else? So in terms of benefits, there will be definitely companies coming to see, and they want to protect their market. because they want to get the revenue leakage closed from their perspective. There will be customer asking for this in the future, because they want to get fresh, harmless food. So from perspective of what else can be done in the food and beverage industry, electronic documents, invoices. Here is it.
In 2017, it was estimated that more than 400 billion invoices were being produced worldwide. And still, despite the fact that we live in a digitized world, approximately 90% of those invoices are processed manually. For instance, as one of the major consequences, 40% of European invoices are being paid late or are defaulted on. Today, most invoices are delivered through email or postal service, but the effort and cost spent are not paid back as many invoices are not being delivered on time or are processed incorrectly. Sending the documents such as invoices using the Sophia TX blockchain represents a new, secure, and a trusted way how documents can be exchanged while sensitive data is fully encrypted. This results to a faster and more secure delivery, improved cash management, compliance and fraud reduction, and many other benefits. Today, with Sophia TX, you can securely send and receive documents such as invoices, purchase orders, quotations, delivery receipts, and more.
So, in terms of invoicing, today, you have got all the, let's say, large-scale systems such as SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, or even the local ERP accounting systems. But still, what you do when you cross the boundary of your company, you still print the invoice or put it into a PDF and send it over email. Did the email arrive? Nobody knows. Sometimes postal service. Well, it wasn't delivered, so how do we argue? Who wins in this situation that the invoice hasn't arrived? There are a lot of disputes, and you saw that in just Europe, 40%. That's a really big figure. The market, 400 billion invoices, and it's growing because we get invoice almost every day for whatever. So the market is growing. Today, how do you receive your purchase orders? Still, postal service, PDF. How do you prove it was really delivered? How can I act? So with blockchain, you see that the transactions happen. So it's not undisputable. Of course, you have to have the proof that the invoice is not visible and fully transparent to the others, because blockchain is full of companies, right, in the future. So you have to have it completely encrypted. So only the party which has sent the invoice is able to see what's actually in the invoice. So I don't want others to see who I'm dealing with. What do I sell? Or what do I buy? So it has to be encrypted. And this is the features we have already. So businesses can jump on it and use it. Of course, there is a localization point of view. There is also security point of view. There is GDPR point of view. Because we don't pull into the data directly into the invoice or directly blockchain. Because if I put my personal data into blockchain and I want them removed, that doesn't work. That's the feature of the blockchain. I cannot really change the data, modify them, delete them. They are there. They are shared. So some of the functions we have built is kind of off-chain functionality, which actually stores the data outside of blockchain, but it's linked to the blockchain. So you have got the features. But there have been many applications which can be built similar to invoicing. Today you have got invoicing solution all around, but are they connected to the enterprise system? Can I press the button from my system and it directly goes to the blockchain? Obviously not. Even from today's systems, you have to actually do the manual steps. You have to have the invoicing department which does the job for you. This is the process efficiency. So what's really essential for the companies to actually get ahead and basically start to use blockchain? Of course, it has to be enterprise compliant. It has to be a technology which is secure, which is connected to those systems, and which enable new collaborative business models or even operating models to be shaped. There will be definitely new companies raising, similar like the dot-com bubble when Amazon was born from a bookstore. There will be new blockchain companies, and maybe in 10 years we will be not challenging. Why do I need blockchain? It's gonna be there. You will not feel it. This is like a website. You don't challenge it today anymore. Not even for a bakery store, right? So what's really the capabilities you would need to know and how to jump on a blockchain? Today everybody's saying, well, there is a lot of blockchain companies. So how do I pick up the right one? How do I know they have got the full service capability basically, and from a technology perspective, from a consulting point of view, from basically telling me what shall I do with my business, what shall I do with blockchain in my business? So you have to have the possibility to choose a company which operates in the sector or knows your industry. That's maybe the consulting skill, which has the technology and which brings the technology to the senses in terms of communicating with your existing system, which you can maybe replace in the future, but today it has to be connected. When it comes to the prototyping, the cycles are being shortened. Let's don't lie. Today you don't calculate the business case for 5 or 6 years. You calculate it on 2 years. Blockchain is a technology which is here and can be used. Even for small players, you have to have the rapid prototyping capability to connect even from an Excel spreadsheet. Send the data out of Excel. This is what you have seen in the video. So we have actually developed our abilities that we are able to send data directly from Excel spreadsheet. So you don't have to have a robust application today. And some businesses, small players, they don't have really a sophisticated application they use on a daily basis. They operate very simply. If you are running a small company, you can also connect to blockchain without having all large big 6 players knocking on your door and giving you offers. It's as easy as that. When it comes to know-how, of course, learning blockchain, learning consensus, that's a nightmare. Not even I know that. So using blockchain, that's actually the essence. How you get your business kicked off. So you have to have some basic knowledge how blockchain can impact the industry, how blockchain can impact the cross industry, because it's collaboration, and the collaboration doesn't happen in particular industry, because if you are in F&B, you definitely work with supply chain companies or logistics companies, etc. So there will be changes. There will be mix of the ways how businesses interact today. And when it comes to early adopters, so who often benefit the most from the innovation, you see it on the graphics. So they are innovators. They are the first ones who actually explore the technology. But they are early adopting companies which actually drives the figures up. They are the winners of the space. So you don't have to wait for the market to actually grow in the dead space where all the technology is fully served. There is plenty of them, so you can choose, because then you have already passed beyond the prime. Here, we are talking about innovation, and the innovation is there. It can be used. It has to be used correctly, of course, and it has to bring the benefit. It has to solve the real-world problems, and we have real-world problems, besides of politics, let's say. So we do need to know that blockchain will disrupt companies which are out there. Whether the big companies will be the leaders, 90% of the new innovations come from small players, because they have got the appetite to grow. They do have completely different risk exposure. So there is always the dream of small companies going big. this is one of the opportunities today. And that's it from my side. Thank you.